So today was the day I decided to remove the fuel tank strainer out of my Blue Black 300 E24. And I do have one of these rubbery mats to lie on now. It's a lot more comfortable to get underneath the car and do things like this. So I'm going to try a new method that was suggested to me by Tim to drain the tank without a massive flood of fuel pouring out all in one go. I'm actually going to do it via the skinny line that goes to the accumulator. Benefit with that is you can just put your thumb over it once you've disconnected it and direct it straight into a jerry can, rather than disconnecting that large hose straight from the tank and then it's just a torrent of fuel pouring out. And you can see here, I'm in the process of doing that right now. And it's worth noting, I did not depressurize the fuel tank, so it's still under pressure at the moment, and I wanted that to be the case so that there would be a reasonable amount of flow out of this little hose. And the theory proved to be correct. It came out with quite explosive force, as you can see here. Fortunately, I got my finger over the opening fast enough. And there was actually more in this tank than I realised. This 20-litre jerry can wasn't actually enough. So I did have to transition over to a second can. And fortunately it ran out at about a quarter of that one, so I wasn't far off. But yeah, that actually worked ridiculously well. And this is how I will do it in future. I can't remember if I've done this before, but I don't know why I haven't done it if I haven't. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a very controlled method, and it just comes out nice and smoothly and controlled without any spillage. And that's what I got up to in the first jerry can before I stopped and then changed over to the second one. Once the tank is practically empty, like this stage here where I have disconnected that large hose, most of the time that large hose will come out with the strainer when you're just trying to remove the hose itself from its end piece. When you put a spanner on that and turn it, it usually turns the filter as well. That was not the case today. For some reason, a freak occurrence happened where the hose came out and left the strainer behind. And maybe it's just a freak occurrence for me, but as I said, I think this is the only time that's ever happened for me. But nonetheless, it kind of makes life easier then. It's just a case of removing that piece of rubber around the opening there, and then you've got full access to the strainer to remove it. And I do have this rather nifty socket that I purchased for my M113 oil filter housing, 46mm, shallow, with a flat opening, and it's absolutely perfect for this. I highly recommend it. Absolute perfect fit. And with a universal joint at the end, absolutely no problems angling that in there to get that out. And as you can see, yes, there is a bit more fuel that comes out because the strainer sits a bit higher than the opening. Unfortunately, I should say, my strainer is not even that dirty. And this is not the problem. I do have a fuel filter on the way, which I will be changing next, but I think I might be looking at some KE-Jetronic problems here, sadly. And yeah, they're 100% my own fault for leaving this car sitting around for 6 months at a time with stale fuel in it. Something has obviously been damaged in the process. And I'm just going to clean this strainer out anyway with acetone. And yes, I keep it in the freezer to try and minimize the amount of vapors that come off. If I was a bit more careful pouring it, there wouldn't be such an issue. And be aware that it is a paint stripper, so don't do this on anything you care about. These 15-hole wheels now have no paint on them, but I don't really care about that. I wasn't going to use them without refurbishing them anyway. But as you can see, there's not really much coming off that. There wasn't any like varnish or anything to deal with anyway, so it looks like it was clean from the last time I did this, probably more than 10 years ago. And yeah, that is the factory strainer because it's painted black. The new ones don't come with paint on them. And that's what it looked like after cleaning. There's a little bit more light coming through the bottom section there, but I really don't believe that that was an issue. And I did fit a new O-ring to that strainer before I put it in. And this is very surprising for 35-year-old rubber. It's still like absolutely brand new. You got to love these 124s. Made in an era when things actually lasted. So that's the strainer and that rubber reinstalled, and reinstalling everything else is just a reversal of removal. And I did go ahead and test the primary and secondary pumps, and they are fine. That is not the issue here. So I shall try change that filter and we see what happens next.